Rain slicks the wooden planks beneath my boots, each step steady and sure. My grip tightens on the iron bars of the chain-link fence that marks the boundary of today's posta, near the docks, where ships come in heavy, with goods and crew, just as dense with trouble. The wind carries a mix of salt and smoke, mingling with the stench of bilgewater and spilled ale from nearby taverns. The hammer lies at my side, its weight reassuring. It all's not for show. Every knuckle on this street knows better than to test it without cause. My eyes dart across the Senia, ships unloading crates under watchful eyes, pirates haggling over stolen wares, and merchants counting their coins warily. A sharp whistle cuts through the era, a signal from one of my compatriots further down the pier. I nod acknowledgement, but do not break rhythm, keeping an eye on those closest to me. A group of sailors laughs loudly, bottles clinking as they jostle for position. They are drunk and foolish, but yet dangerous. The rain picks up, drumming harder against my leather jacket. Water beads on the barrel of a rifle slung over another dock. Enforcer's shoulder a few yards away. He mirrors my vigilance, our postures a silent acknowledgement of mutual purpose. A shout breaks out from the marketplace. A fight starting between two merchants over some stolen goods. Swords flash briefly before being sheathed again. Fists and elbows settle the dispute instead. I watch but do not intervene. This is their business until it spills onto my patch. The air thickens with tension, the atmosphere charged with the ever-present threat of violence. It owns a baseline condition, here in Bilgewater, an understood reality that no one questions or debates. We keep order not because we are heroes, but because chaos means death for all involved. My eyes flick back to the hammer again, resting comfortably against my leg. This is where I am, This is what I do, And everything else fades into the background noise of a world that never stops moving. I move through the narrow alleyways, my boots echoing off wet cobblestones. The rain clings to my armor, adding weight and a sheen of water droplets that refract the dim light from above. My senses are heightened. Each step is calculated, each breath steady. My eyes scan the surroundings for any sign of disturbance or threat. I keep my distance from the shadows, but remain alert to their potential dangers. The grip on my sword is firm, and I'm aware of every inch of my body, ready to react instantly. A message comes through my comm device. Area 7 reports suspicious activity. Without hesitation, I head towards Area 7, navigating the crowded streets with practiced ease. People around me barely notice. They are too caught up in their own lives and duties. At the designated location, I confirm there is no immediate threat, but report back to base that additional surveillance is necessary. The communication channels hum with orders and updates, each one processed without delay or question. Back at my station, I check my equipment, weapons clean and sharp, armor undamaged, and prepare for the next rotation. My routine continues seamlessly, each action a part of the greater whole, essential to maintaining order in this ever-watchful city. The metallic weight of my sword grows familiar with each passing moment. At first it was a constant presence, pressing into my hand and reminding me of its importance. Now, as I move through the city, it feels less intrusive, more like an extension of myself. The initial sharpness dulls to a mere whisper in my awareness. The ambient sound of rain continues relentlessly, each drop hitting the cobblestones with a steady rhythm. Initially, the noise was overwhelming, demanding my attention and heightening my senses. Now it blends into the background, becoming as natural and unremarkable as breathing. The cacophony of distant shouts and clashing metal is similarly muted, no longer jarring, but simply part of the environment. The pressure of other auras in close proximity was once a heavy weight on my mind, each presence demanding recognition and analysis. Now, they are just a faint hum, a backdrop against which I operate with ease. The subtle shifts in energy are less noticeable, their significance diminishing as they become routine. Each recurrence of these sensations brings me closer to a state where they no longer demand conscious attention. My awareness narrows, focusing solely on the task at hand, leaving little room for anything else. The city's constant hum becomes a familiar drone, and I move through it with an unwavering sense of purpose. My movements are synchronized with those around me, our actions forming a seamless pattern. We move through the city as one fluid entity, each person's steps and gestures blending into the rhythm of the group. The rain falls in unison, a constant backdrop to our coordinated efforts. There is no need for words. We understand each other's intentions without speaking. Our formation shifts subtly, adapting to the environment with precision. We navigate through crowds, our paths intersecting seamlessly like gears turning together. The sense of individuality fades as I become part of a larger mechanism, my role interchangeable, yet critical. Our collective presence is steady and unyielding, moving forward with purpose. The city buzzes around us, but it no longer distracts me. Each person's movements are predictable, their actions blending into the flow like water, merging with a stream. We move through checkpoints without pause, our timing impeccable. The sword at my side feels familiar now, an extension of my arm, part of this seamless operation. Our vigilance is shared. Everyone around me remains alert and focused. There is no need for communication, as we react to potential threats instantly. Our actions are mirrored in the rhythm of the city, a continuous cycle of movement and response. I am replaceable within this system, yet my role is essential. Each step, each gesture, contributes to maintaining order. The environment remains constanta, a steady hum of activity with us at its core. We move through it efficiently, our presence a calming force amidst potential chaos. The rain continues unabated, merging with the sounds and sights into an unbroken rhythm. Our collective focus is unwavering, every action part of this ongoing process. I move through the city streets with a steady gait, my senses attuned but no longer alarmed by the constant din of rain and footsteps. The sword at my side feels familiar, an extension of myself. My role in this collective effort is clear, each action part of a seamless dance that requires no thought or hesitation. The city around me fades into background noise as I focus on my tasks. Every gesture is instinctive, every step precise. There's a sense of calm and purpose, knowing that each movement contributes to something greater than myself. My actions are routine yet crucial, enhancing my feeling of belonging within this unified entity. I continue down the alleyway, noting the worn stones beneath my boots and the occasional drip from above. The rain falls steadily, but it no longer distracts me. It's simply part of the environment, a constant that I have come to accept without question. My mind is clear, my focus sharp, as I move through the city, contributing to its unwavering rhythm. The city around me functions with precision and efficiency. Each action is a calibrated response to the environment, ensuring stability in an ever-shifting landscape of threats and challenges. The rain falls steadily, not as an inconvenience, but as part of the backdrop against which our operations must adapt. My sword remains a constant companion, its presence familiar and reassuring, a tool for maintaining order rather than a symbol of conflict. The system relies on strictness to function effectively. Rules and hierarchies are not imposed out of malice or cruelty, but because they ensure that every component operates within defined parameters. This allows for optimal performance under stress and uncertainty. The rigidity may seem harsh from an outsider's perspective, but it is necessary for the system to remain stable and resilient. Responsibility feels heavy, yet it is a weight I carry with purpose. My role within this framework is not arbitrary. Each task and decision contributes directly to the overarching goals of security and continuity. There is no room for inefficiency or hesitation. Every moment wasted on personal reflection or emotional response could compromise the system's integrity. Harshness is an operational fact, a consequence of maintaining order in a world where chaos looms perpetually. The loss of individuals might be painful, but it is abstracted into the greater context of necessity. Each casualty represents a sacrifice for the collective good, ensuring that the rest can continue to function and adapt. There are no heroes or martyrs here, only components performing their designated roles until they are rendered obsolete. My mind processes information with cold precision, recognizing patterns and threats without emotional interference. The city's pulse is a symphony of activity and regulation, each beat a testament to the system's resilience. My role is interchangeable but essential, contributing to the intricate web that keeps everything in balance. The rain falls, the sword remains ready, and I move with purposeful efficiency. This works because it has to. The system functions at optimal levels when variables align within specified margins. Every component, be it a player, summoner, or champion, exists to maintain equilibrium. Efficiency dictates that deviations are corrected swiftly. Any surplus capacity is redirected to counterbalance deficits elsewhere. Metrics like success rates and failure probabilities become the primary focus. A 90% win rate in engagements translates directly into higher output for strategic objectives. Conversely, a drop below the threshold necessitates reallocation of resources or recalibration of tactics. Each unit's performance can be quantified, analyzed, and optimized to meet predetermined benchmarks. Living beings within this framework are no longer individual entities, but rather units with designated capacities and limits. Pain, fear, and suffering dissolve into abstract data points of variables that must be managed for the system to function seamlessly. A 15% attrition rate in combat operations may seem harsh, yet it is a predictable consequence of operational necessity. Decisions are distilled into binary outcomes, effective or inefficient. Any emotional response serves only as noise, impeding clear calculation and optimal performance. Each action must be evaluated through the lens of efficiency to ensure that the system remains resilient against external pressures. The burden of responsibility feels lighter when converted into quantities. A 30% increase in defensive measures reduces vulnerabilities by predictable margins. Every unit's contribution is measured not by personal sentiment, but by its impact on overall stability and resilience. In this context, discomfort dissolves once it is quantified and managed. Each adjustment, each recalibration, each reallocation becomes a necessary step toward maintaining the system's equilibrium. The cold precision of numbers provides clarity, ensuring that operational requirements are met without emotional interference. The system remains functional because every component understands its role as an essential variable within a larger equation. Each unit's capacity is harnessed to achieve optimal outcomes, with no room for inefficiency or waste. This rational approach ensures that the framework endures, adapting and evolving through relentless optimization. The repetitive thud of my boots against the stone floor echoes in the dimly lit corridors. Each step is a measured rhythm, a metronome ticking out the relentless pace of duty. The air here carries a constant chill, not cold enough to provoke discomfort, but heavy with an unyielding weight that settles deep into bone. It's familiar now, this cold, like an old friend reminding me of my place. The walls are lined with dull grays and muted blues, reflecting the perpetual gloom that hangs over these halls. Light is sparse, a series of flickering torches casting shadows that dance along the stone. They shift with each passing moment, but never truly illuminate anything beyond their immediate reach. This darkness is comforting in its consistency. It's not meant to see or know. Ow! My muscles tighten and loosen with practiced precision, responding to the demands placed upon them without question. The strain feels expected, like a constant companion that grows familiar over time. It haunts not pain but pressure, a reminder of the load I carry, the weight of unseen forces pulling me forward. This tension is normal. It signifies activity. The scent here is musty and earthy, heavy with the dampness that clings to every surface. Each breath draws in this smell, a constant presence that grounds my thoughts back to the reality of this place. It's not unpleasant, but neither is it invigorating. It simply exists as part of the environment, another layer of operational normalcy. The sounds of others move through these corridors, like distant echoes, footfalls fading into nothingness, voices muffled by thick stone walls. They exist as a reminder that I am not alone in this system. But their presence is abstract, a concept rather than an immediate reality. Each one plays their part, contributing to the intricate machinery that keeps everything in motion. This environment demands efficiency and clarity. There's no room for distraction or deviation. The sensory inputs are constant, grounding me firmly within the present moment where decisions must be made with precision and purpose. Emotions have long since faded into insignificance, replaced by a cold logic that dictates every action without hesitation. As I move through these halls, each step deeper into the core of this system brings an increasing sense of responsibility. It's not a burden, but rather a necessary component, like any other part of this intricate machine. The strain on my body and mind is evidence of activity, proof that the gears are turning, the wheels are spinning. The cold air, the dim light, the steady rhythm of footsteps are. Each element reinforces the operational necessity of what I do here. This place thrives on efficiency and order. It requires constant maintenance to function at all. The discomfort aligns with productivity, a signal that things are working as they should. In this world, there is no room for doubt or questioning, only action and adaptation. Each adjustment feels necessary, each decision a cog in the larger machinery of resilience and stability. This is where I belong, where my role is defined by necessity rather than sentiment. The system needs me, and so do I need it. A momentary hesitation flickers through my mind as I process the latest directive. It feels almost alien, a brief interruption in the steady flow of operations. The directive is clear: maintain stability and efficiency at all costs. Yet for an instant, a whisper of uncertainty questions if there might be another way to achieve these goals with less rigidity. But this thought does not align with the system's logic. Noroi? I correct myself immediately, recognizing that any deviation from established protocols risks instability. The system's strength lies in its rigid structure and unyielding enforcement. Flexibility introduces variables that can disrupt balance. Stability is paramount, and deviations must be minimized to preserve equilibrium. The correction feels natural, a part of my internal process. It ensures I remain an effective component within the larger framework. There is no place for doubt here. only unwavering commitment to the system's operational integrity. The moment passes, replaced by a renewed sense of purpose and clarity. Every adjustment, every decision serves the greater good. No room for sentimentality or hesitation. The path forward is clear once more, and I proceed with the confidence that my actions are necessary and irreplaceable. The system is an organism, and each part serves a purpose. Efficiency dictates that every unit operates within its defined parameters, contributing to the whole. Doubt arises momentarily, but dissipates as logic reasserts itself. The cold precision of my thoughts aligns with operational necessity, eliminating inefficiency and ensuring optimal function. Every decision is a calculation, a balance of variables. Emotions are irrelevant noise, hindering clarity and purpose. I am a component in a complex system, and my role is clear. My actions maintain an equilibrium, ensuring resilience and stability. The pressure of responsibility is quantified, reducing discomfort to manageable levels. Each adjustment, each sacrifice serves the greater good. The environment is familiar, predictable. Cold air, dim lighting, repetitive footsteps. These are cues that reinforce routine and habit. There is no emotional attachment, but rather pragmatic detachment. Actions are driven by necessity, not sentiment. Monotony offers a form of comfort in its predictability, grounding thoughts in the present moment without room for distraction or deviation. Doubt flickers briefly but is extinguished by rigid protocol. The system demands unwavering commitment to stability and operational integrity. Certainty replaces uncertainty, reinforcing purpose and necessity. Flexibility is sacrificed for efficiency, ensuring optimal performance under pressure. The logic resolves all internal friction. Moral questions dissolve into correctness. Every variable aligns perfectly with the necessary outcome. Nothing remains to argue against this precision, this clarity. The system functions as it must, and I am a part of that function. This settles me, not relieves me, but settles me in a way that is absolute and unshakable. Efficiency dictates necessity. Necessity demands compliance. Compliance ensures stability. Stability maintains order. Order sustains the system. There is no room for doubt or deviation. The cold precision of my thoughts is the only truth. Everything adds up. Nothing remains to argue against this inevitability. The chill air of the barracks cuts through my uniform as I enter, the dim lighting casting long shadows across the room. My footsteps are measured, each step a continuation of the last, guided by the familiar layout and routine. The cold does not register beyond its presence. It owns just another sensory input to process. A notification alerts me to an incoming mission briefing. Without pause, I move toward the designated terminal, fingers navigating the interface with practiced ease. Data streams in, parsed instantly into actionable directives. The mission parameters are clear. Objectives, threats, resources are all meticulously outlined. There is no room for deviation. Compliance ensures success. I proceed to gather my equipment according to the briefing gauze specifications. Each item selected and secured becomes part of a seamless sequence. My movements are fluid, without conscious thought intervening. Adjusting my armor plates to optimal settings feels like second nature, an essential part of preparing for the task at hand. The door slides open automatically as I approach, leading to the transport vessel waiting outside. A sense of urgency accompanies the mission's deadline. Time is a precious resource here. The vessel lifts off smoothly, navigating through the familiar grid patterns toward our designated area. My mind processes every detail without pause, ensuring readiness for any contingency. Upon arrival, the terrain and enemy presence are quickly assessed. The briefing data informs my strategy, guiding decisions with precision. Each action taken follows from previous inputs, a chain of responses that feels inevitable. I move through obstacles and engage threats, according to plan, each engagement resolving efficiently. The mission progresses without incident, objectives met within the allocated time frame. The transport vessel returns me to base, where another set of tasks awaits. Processing data, coordinating with allies, planning next steps all proceed in a continuous loop, each step flowing seamlessly into the next. Throughout, there is no space for doubt or hesitation. Every decision aligns with necessity and efficiency. The system's logic feels intrinsic, guiding actions without question. Compliance is not seen as submission, but as operational correctness, ensuring optimal performance within an intricate framework. The day ends with a brief report submitted, summarizing outcomes and recommending adjustments for future missions. Each element of the routine reinforces my role as a critical component of a larger machine, functioning flawlessly when every part operates in harmony. Sleep comes quickly. The body's need replenished efficiently before another cycle begins anew. The cold air returns, familiar and unremarkable, grounding me once more within this relentless yet ordered existence. The objective was clear: neutralize the threat. The environment was familiar, a blend of tactical markers and strategic positions laid out in my mind's eye. I moved with precision, leveraging the terrain to maintain optimal positioning. Targets were identified through established protocols, priority high, medium, low on, and acted upon accordingly. Engagement commenced without hesitation. Now, each interaction followed a strict algorithm. Approach, assess, engage, neutralize. The sequence was fluid, almost mechanical in its execution. Data points updated automatically as I moved from one target to the next. Casualties were logged with precision, their impact registered solely as status changes within the system. The process was uninterrupted by hesitation or emotional response. Each action completed its intended function without deviation. Targets neutralized left a trail of operational conclusions. Mission parameters met, objectives achieved, threat level reduced. The environment responded predictably to my actions, confirming adherence to the established framework. Post-execution analysis was immediate and sterile. Metrics were compiled, reports generated, feedback loops initiated adjustments for future iterations, refining efficiency based on current outcomes. Sleep arrived without delay, resetting cognitive functions for another cycle of operation. Completion marked an end state, not a moral judgment. The system functioned as intended, its logic unchallenged and seamless. The day begins as usual, with the rhythm of my tasks already familiar and predictable. I enter the designated area where higher access is granted only to those who have earned it through merit and compliance. The environment shifts subtly. Certain corridors are off-limits, not because they are guarded or marked, but simply because they do not open for me. In the central chamber, figures move with a deliberate efficiency that speaks of their roles and responsibilities. I navigate this space without hesitation, my presence recognized by those around me. Orders come down from above, directives clear and unwavering. There is no questioning these instructions. They are accepted as a necessary part of the system. I attend meetings where decisions are made with authority and finality. The room feels charged with purpose. Each word spoken carries weight, and I take my place among those who contribute to the overall strategy without seeking recognition or acknowledgement. My role is clear. My actions align perfectly with the directives given. During breaks, there is no idle chatter about rights or fairness. Conversations focus on tasks and outcomes, on how best to achieve objectives within the constraints provided. There are no discussions of hierarchy or power. These concepts are understood implicitly, as natural components of an orderly system. When I return to my quarters after a long day, sleep descends quickly, without resistance. The cycle resets seamlessly, each new morning bringing with it the same sense of detachment and purpose. Paths open for me where they should, and others remain closed where they must. This is how things simply are. As I move through my daily routines, everything feels predictable and familiar. Each task is executed with precision, following established protocols without deviation. There's a constant flow of information and directives that guide my actions seamlessly. Midway through the day, an unexpected sensation arises, a subtle discomfort, almost imperceptible. It's not clear what triggers this anomaly. Perhaps it taunts a slight hesitation or a momentary sense of unease. However, rather than dwelling on it, I recognize the need to address and correct the deviation immediately. This is part of maintaining operational efficiency. I take a moment to pause, allowing myself to assess the situation objectively. The discomfort is minor, likely stemming from an inconsistency in my thought process or attention drift. Adjusting for this anomaly involves redirecting focus back onto the task at hand, ensuring that every action aligns with established procedures once again. The correction feels routine and professional, a standard part of daily recalibration. There is no emotional charge attached to it, merely a procedural step to ensure continued alignment with the system's demands. Once the adjustment is made, I resume my tasks without further interruption. This process of self-correction reinforces the sense that everything functions as intended. The anomaly is resolved seamlessly, and there is no lingering impact or questioning. My day continues without disruption, adhering strictly to the prescribed path. The day begins, as it always does, with the first light filtering through the window, just enough to signal the start of another routine. The schedule is clear, each task meticulously outlined in my mind. There is no need for reminders or instructions. They flow naturally from one to the next, like a well-oiled machine. I move through the necessary steps: preparation, deployment, and execution with precision. Each action is familiar, almost instinctual. The environment is sterile, yet functional, offering no distractions or diversions. There is an efficiency in the air, a quiet hum of purpose that guides my movements without any need for thought. The day progresses smoothly, each task completed with mechanical ease. Conversations are brief and to the point, focused solely on outcomes rather than personal connections or feelings. The roles and responsibilities are clear, and there is no room for deviation. My path is set, and I follow it without question. Midday brings a momentary pause, but it passes quickly as my mind realigns with the expected course of action. There is no discomfort or unease, merely a brief recognition that any deviation would be counterproductive. The adjustment is made swiftly, and I continue on, unburdened by unnecessary considerations. As evening approaches, there is a sense of satisfaction in having completed all assigned tasks without incident. The transition into sleep is seamless. the mind clearing as it prepares for another cycle tomorrow. There is no reflection or emotional weight to carry. Everything falls neatly into place. The routine continues unabated, each day blending seamlessly with the next. Wow! The system feels complete and unquestioned. A perfect mesh of necessity and efficiency. Other ways of being are not visible, nor do they matter. This is how things simply are, without room for doubt or alternative paths. I move through another evening's tasks, ensuring all details are in order before settling into sleep once more. The day ends as it began, with a sense of calm predictability and settled operation. There is no need to question or seek alternatives. The path is clear and unambiguous. The day begins much the same as any other. The alarm sounds, waking me from a deep sleep without disturbance. I rise immediately, my body moving through morning rituals with practiced ease. Today, however, there is a slight variation in my routine, a moment of hesitation before stepping into the shower. It's not noticeable to anyone else, but it feels like a small shift within the usual framework. I make my way downstairs and prepare breakfast without thinking. The process is familiar. Cracking eggs, heating up the pan, pouring coffee. Today, though, I notice an extra spoon in the drawer that was not there before. It's not unusual for things to move around, so I take it as a matter of course. Arriving at work, I find the day's tasks waiting for me. The first task is reviewing reports and making adjustments. This time, however, I feel a brief sense of discomfort when looking over certain details. Something about them seems off. Yet I quickly correct this minor deviation by focusing on the numbers and facts presented. It's not that it feels wrong. Rather, it's just different. Midday brings another small change. Colleague asks for my assistance with something outside of my usual responsibilities. Ordinarily, I would decline or suggest an alternative approach. But today, I agree without hesitation. The task is completed efficiently, and there is no lingering sense that this was out of the ordinary. The afternoon drags on as usual, filled with meetings and more reports to review. Today, however, there is a slight delay in completing one report due to unexpected information that needs verification. This feels like part of the day's rhythm rather than an anomaly. I address it promptly, ensuring everything is accounted for before moving on. As the day winds down, another variation occurs. A brief conversation with my supervisor about upcoming projects. Typically, such discussions are straightforward and focused on objectives. Today, however, there is a momentary exchange where we discuss potential changes that could improve efficiency. Again, this feels natural rather than out of place. The routine ends, as it usually does, swiftly transitioning from work to home without delay. Dinner is prepared with the same precision and care, though I notice an odd ingredient in the recipe book that was not there before. It's not a problem. I simply adjust accordingly. After dinner, my usual nighttime routine begins. The hygiene rituals, reading for a short while, then sleep. Today, however, there is a slight variation, a momentary pause to reflect on the day's events without any emotional attachment or analysis. This feels like a natural progression rather than an unexpected occurrence. New one. The night descends, as it always does, and I slip into sleep seamlessly, ready for another day of routine, variations, and minor shifts. Everything remains consistent, yet subtly different, without any sense of disruption or concern. The morning begins with a sense of weight, an odd heaviness in the air. It's hard to pinpoint what triggers it. A chill from an open window, perhaps, or the absence of something usual. A flash of unease flickers, but fades without consequence. I move through the motions, checking reports, reviewing data, and preparing for meetings. Each task feels slightly off-kilter, yet familiar enough to navigate. During a discussion with a supervisor, suggestions for procedural changes flow effortlessly. The supervisor nods approvingly, and there is a moment of satisfaction, almost pride, that this is happening so smoothly. But in time's fleeting. The feeling slips away before I can fully grasp it. Later, while handling an unexpected task, a sense of fatigue creeps in. It dawns not from exertion, but something deeper, harder to define. A brief thought about needing rest flutters through. Yet there is no pause or alteration in my actions. The work continues as if the feeling never intruded. In the afternoon, during a routine check on operations, an odd sense of urgency arises. There is a need to move faster, complete tasks more swiftly. But again, it does not disrupt the rhythm. Everything is completed efficiently and without delay. As the day winds down, there is a lingering sensation of peace or calm that feels almost serene. It is not joy or contentment, just a sense of things being in order. This quiet satisfaction persists as I review my accomplishments for the day. There are no grand emotions, only an acceptance of what has been done. The evening closes with another momentary reflection, something akin to a soft, distant recognition. It feels like a whisper from somewhere deep inside, but it dissipates before any clarity emerges. The routine continues, and I move forward without hesitation or question. Walking through the barracks, I notice a stack of scrolls on my desk. There is an odd feeling, something off about them and too many, out of place perhaps, but it is okay. I pick one up and start reading. The words are familiar, instructions on how to fortify defenses against incoming attacks. It feels routine, but slightly different, like there is a new layer to the task today. Later, or maybe earlier, I cannot be sure. A meeting with my superiors happens. We discuss strategies for upcoming battles. Well, they mention reinforcements arriving soon, and I nod along, taking notes. The conversation flows smoothly, yet it seems oddly detached from my usual routine. There is no sense of urgency or anxiety. Instead, a calm acceptance pervades the exchange. Back in my quarters, there are new items scattered around, extra swords, leaning against walls, strange potions on shelves. They feel out of place, but also necessary. I inventory them carefully, adding them to our supplies without question. The action feels procedural, almost second nature despite the oddness. During training exercises, I notice a change in my squad's movements. Viandra adapting to new tactics, learning formations that feel slightly alien at first, but quickly become ingrained. Eton's efficient and effective. No time for confusion or resistance here. Just follow the directives and adapt. The Dayaz reports come next. Reviewing them feels like a routine task. Yet there is an odd detachment as I process the data. Numbers, statistics. They speak to me in their own language without needing context. Each report is filed away neatly, marked with approval. In between tasks, brief moments of reflection arise, like noting that today was different somehow. A sense of accomplishment, but also mild fatigue washes over me. Eton's okay though. Everything caused running smoothly despite the subtle shifts. There is a quiet satisfaction in knowing that even small changes can be integrated seamlessly into our operations. Returning to my quarters, I find myself preparing for tomorrow's schedule without hesitation. Each step feels methodical and necessary, yet detached from any emotional weight. The day blends together all. Tasks intermingling, routines adapting, but all remains functional. As the night falls, a sense of peace settles in. Accomplishments are acknowledged but not celebrated. It's just another part of the continuum, where minor variations blend into the larger pattern without causing disruption. Everything continues to move forward with purpose and efficiency. As I sit at my desk reviewing the day's reports, a slight unease creeps up. The numbers and data flow through me without resistance, each line an extension of my routine. Yet there is a faint sense of something off, a new report format, or perhaps a different set of metrics to analyze. This is not alarming. It's simply another layer to peel back, another detail to refine. My posture shifts slightly as I move from the desk to the training room. The crispness of the data fades into the physicality of combat drills. Hands clench and release, muscles tense and relax in a familiar rhythm. Here, there are no numbers or reports, only actions and reactions. Sparring partners circle me with practiced precision, their movements fluid and relentless. Each strike is met with counter-strike, each dodge with recalibration. The training room becomes a second skin, the drills a heartbeat. Exiting the combat arena, I find myself in the strategy meeting hall. Chairs are arranged meticulously, screens flickering with maps and objectives. A new voice filters through, calm, authoritative. Decisions are made swiftly, plans laid out methodically. Each word is chosen with care, each outcome weighed against potential risks. There is a sense of command here, a directive flow that guides the team towards victory. Stepping into the medical bay, my demeanor softens. The sterile environment demands precision and empathy. Instruments gleam under harsh lights as I tend to wounds, apply bandages. Each patient is a puzzle, pain to alleviate, injuries to mend. Here, there is no room for hesitation. Every action must be exact. Syringes draw fluid, hands stitch skin. Efficiency is key. Transitioning back to my quarters, the day's fatigue sets in. The bed beckons with its soft contours, a sanctuary from the day's rigors. Sleep descends quickly, each breath measured and steady. Dreams are fleeting, vague images of combat and strategy, but no emotional resonance. Waking is as seamless as falling asleep. The mind clears, ready for whatever comes next. Each role feels distinct yet unremarkable. Series of functions to be performed without question. There is a quiet satisfaction in the completion of tasks, an acceptance that adapts with each shift. No part of this seems out of place or unusual. It's simply how things are done. The day starts with a routine check, fingers moving over familiar keys as data streams in from the monitors. Each keystroke feels mechanical yet precise. A sense of detachment envelops me as I review reports on numbers, and figures blend into patterns that make sense without effort. An extra spoon on the desk catches my eye briefly, but it is swiftly ignored. It is just another detail to be noted, not dwelled upon. Transitioning to physical training grounds, muscles move through well-trodden routines with practiced ease. Each strike of a weapon feels familiar, guiding my emotions as much as they guide my actions. The rhythm of the workout brings a calm focus, punctuated by minor adjustments. New techniques learned or observed from others blend seamlessly into my own movements. Strategy meetings bring moments of command and purpose. Decisions are made calmly, with a sense of authority that feels natural despite subtle shifts in team dynamics. Conversations flow smoothly, each suggestion evaluated swiftly for its merit. There is an underlying satisfaction in the decisiveness and clarity of thought. Decisions feel right without needing justification. Moving to the medical bay, precision takes center stage. Tasks are handled meticulously, balancing care with efficiency. The sterile environment demands attention, yet it feels routine despite the occasional new protocol or procedure. Empathy surfaces briefly but is quickly replaced by a focus on the task at hand. Each step is measured and deliberate, ensuring that patients receive the necessary attention without emotional interference. Fatigue settles in as the day draws to a close, welcoming sleep as a sanctuary. Dreams are vague yet clear-headed upon waking. A sense of accomplishment lingers without weight. Tasks completed, goals met. The fragmentation feels natural, each role distinct but unremarkable. There is an acceptance and adaptability that allows for continuity despite subtle changes. Tasks continue seamlessly into the evening, a blend of routine and minor adjustments. Data analysis, physical training, strategic planning. They all flow with quiet efficiency. Each action is performed methodically, without strong, emotional attachment. The day concludes with a sense of peace and satisfaction. Fragmentation no longer registers as notable. Function continues despite lack of unity. Normalcy re-established without coherence. The night brings restful sleep, dreams vague but clear-headed upon waking. Each morning feels like continuation, marked by the same blend of routine acceptance and subtle unease. The cycle repeats seamlessly, tasks completed with quiet satisfaction and adaptive acceptance. Things continue. That is sufficient. Data analysis begins at the designated time. Screens illuminate, revealing streams of information flowing across monitors. Fingers move swiftly over keyboards, inputting commands with practiced precision. Each keystroke triggers a response, data points aligning into patterns without hesitation. Notifications flash, but are dismissed as irrelevant. Focus remains unwavering on the task at hand. Transition to physical training occurs seamlessly. Our equipment is retrieved from storage and set up in the designated area. Warm-up exercises commence. Stretching, breathing techniques. Each motion executed with mechanical precision. Strength routines follow, weights lifted and lowered in rhythmic succession. Cardiovascular training ensues, pacing steady and controlled as heart rate increases predictably. Sweat accumulates, but does not distract from the routine. Now to next door. Strategic planning meetings start promptly. Colleagues gather around a table. Agendas are reviewed succinctly. Decisions are made efficiently. Discussion points addressed without delay. Information is exchanged openly. Solutions proposed with clarity. Meeting concludes on schedule. Duties assigned for follow-up actions. Medical bay shifts into focus next. Instruments are sterilized meticulously. Patient files accessed promptly. Procedures commence without delay. Each action executed with precision and care. Monitoring devices track vital signs. Adjustments made as needed. Post-procedure documentation is completed thoroughly but swiftly. Tasks conclude smoothly. Environment returning to its organized state. Fatigue signals the end of duties for the day. Bedding area is prepared calmly. Body lies down effortlessly. Sleep ensues naturally. Dreams vague yet unremarkable upon waking. Awakening feels clear-headed and ready for new tasks, awaiting tomorrow's schedule. Routine concludes seamlessly, marking another day completed efficiently without internal questioning or hesitation. Morning rituals commence. Wake, stretch, move to workspace. Tasks begin. Data analysis, report writing, strategy meetings. Interaction with colleagues remains functional, efficient. But breaks occur at scheduled times, no deviation. Return to tasks post-break. Maintain focus. Evening approaches. End-of-day procedures initiated. Save work. Close applications. Commence hygiene routine. Prepare for sleep cycle. Sleep onset smooth. Dreams unrecorded. Morning arrives. Rituals repeat. On. Movement shifts the space around me. Forms align and realign. Without emotion. One blocks my path momentarily, then parts to allow passage. Passage. Shapes move into place for tasks ahead. Their presence noted but unremarked upon. Actions continue uninterrupted by any human interaction. Absences signal completion of other segments within this cycle. The day progresses in ordered sequences. Tasks are performed amidst shifting forms and alignments. Obstructions clear as needed, ensuring smooth execution without pause or resistance. Forms move into new positions, their movements predictable yet unnoted. Distractions dissolve effortlessly, merging back into the background. Evening draws near, marked by fewer moving shapes around me. The day's tasks are complete, leaving space for rest. Sleep descends easily, undisturbed by thought or dream. Shapes fade into darkness, awaiting tomorrow's alignments and movements. Detachment. Detachment. Observations proceed. In objective sequence. Forms align. Movements noted. Tasks initiated, interruptions resolved seamlessly. Completion sensed. Transition to rest begins. Sleep arrives smoothly, undisturbed by thought or dream. The narrator observes movements with detachment, noting the alignment of forms objectively. Tasks proceed seamlessly. Interruptions resolved without hesitation. Evening signals completion, transitioning smoothly to rest. Sleep comes easily, undisturbed by thoughts or dreams. The system continues.
The day winds down, and I settle into another night of minimal sleep, knowing tomorrow will bring more of the same. The routine is comfort, but it also serves as a stark reminder of the relentless progression towards an uncertain future. There is no room for hope here, only action and acknowledgement. The day begins much like any other, with a checklist that feels more routine than hopeful. The air conditioning hums incessantly, its steady sound blending into the background noise of my existence. Each breath draws in recycled air, devoid of freshness but necessary for survival. I move through tasks with mechanical precision, checking sensors, monitoring systems, and making adjustments where possible. There is a rhythm to it now, a familiar pattern that serves as both comfort and constraint. Every action has its place, every detail its importance. Yet, the outcome remains unchanged. Maintenance without progress. The environment around me continues to degrade incrementally, but the immediate need for stability keeps any major changes at bay. It feels like a delicate balance between preservation and decay. I spend hours poring over data logs, analyzing trends, and making minor tweaks to optimize efficiency. Each adjustment brings temporary relief, but never resolves the underlying issues. The system is complex, interwoven with dependencies that make radical change impractical. Stability here means continuity, not perfection. Small corrections are made to keep everything running, but significant reforms are too risky. The procedural incentives are clear. Small, incremental adjustments yield manageable results without disrupting the entire structure. Large-scale changes introduce uncertainty and potential instability, which is avoided at all costs. This creates a feedback loop where minor fixes become routine, and any deviation from this norm is met with resistance from both the system itself and those tasked with maintaining it. The pressure to maintain this equilibrium builds gradually, reinforcing the status quo through repetition and necessity. Every day that passes without catastrophic failure feels like a victory of sorts, but the cumulative effect is undeniable. The system thrives on momentum, driven by inertia rather than innovation. It moves forward not out of ambition or foresight, but because halting progress would risk everything. I find myself increasingly entangled in this cycle, my efforts becoming more routine and less transformative. Each day, tasks consume me, leaving little room for contemplation or rebellion. The system demands continuity, and I comply because it is the path of least resistance. There are theoretical alternatives, but they remain just that, hypothetical solutions, too complex to implement within this rigid framework. The air grows thicker with each passing day, mirroring my own sense of entrapment. Yet, there is an unspoken understanding that continuation is safer than correction. The system moves forward not because it chooses to, but because it must. The air feels heavy, laden with a residue of past actions. I move through my tasks with an efficiency honed by repetition and necessity. Each day, I perform the same routines, check systems, monitor resources, make minor adjustments to keep things running just a little longer. There is no grand plan anymore, only a series of small steps that barely hold back the tide. I interact less with others now, finding solace in the quiet solitude of my workspaces. Conversations are brief and practical. There's little room for anything else. The environment around me reflects this new reality. Dust accumulates on surfaces. Plants struggle to survive under artificial light, and every surface bears the marks of wear and tear. Yet, I keep things clean enough, just as I maintain order in my own mind. The weight of responsibility does not feel like a burden anymore. It is simply part of who I am now. Each day brings its challenges, but there are fewer moments of surprise or alarm. The worst has already happened, and I have adapted to the new baseline. There is a detachment that comes from prolonged exposure to these conditions, a sense of familiarity with loss. I still find pockets of comfort in small victories. A system that runs smoothly for another day, a resource allocation that stretches supplies just a little further. These moments are fleeting, but necessary. They offer a semblance of control when everything else feels out of reach. As night falls, I retreat to my quarters, allowing myself the luxury of sleep without dreams. There is no room for ambition or hope, only survival and maintenance. The routine is comforting in its predictability, though it offers little more than a temporary respite from the constant grind. Tomorrow will be another day of quiet determination, where every action is a testament to endurance rather than triumph. This is how things are now. The air is thick with the scent of old machinery and dust, each breath carrying particles that settle in my lungs. I wake to the familiar hum of systems coming online, a gentle buzz that signals the start of another day. There is no rush anymore. Routine is predictable, reliable. The first task is always the same: checking the environmental monitors. The screens flicker to life, displaying steady but unremarkable readings of temperature, humidity, oxygen levels. It's comforting to see them within acceptable ranges. Breakfast consists of rehydrated meals stored in vacuum-sealed packs. I open one with a practiced hand and sip lukewarm water from a chipped mug. The taste is bland, but it sustains me. Afterward, I move through the living space, wiping down surfaces to prevent mold growth. It's an endless cycle of cleaning and monitoring, ensuring nothing deteriorates faster than necessary. The day progresses with regular maintenance checks on the power systems. I trace familiar paths along conduits, tightening connections that might be loose from vibrations or age. The equipment is old but reliable. It hums softly as I work through each section. There is no rush to complete tasks. Time has lost its urgency here. Lunch follows in a similar fashion. Another rehydrated meal, another sip of water. My body moves through the motions without thought, accustomed to the routine. Afternoons are reserved for inventory checks and resource management. I catalog supplies meticulously, noting any depletion or degradation. There is no panic. There is only calculation. Each entry is a record of survival. Evening comes with its own set of routines. Dinner is another prepackaged meal, eaten slowly while reviewing logs from the day. I note minor adjustments needed, but know they want to bring significant change. The environment outside is altered, barren in places where once there was greenery and life. It's a reminder of what remains, not lost hope. As night falls, I retreat to my sleeping quarters. The bed feels cold against my skin as I lie down, pulling the thin blanket over me. Sleep comes easily now, without dreams or restlessness. Tomorrow will be another day of maintenance, another iteration of the same cycle. There is no room for contemplation. There is only action and survival. The days blend together in a haze of monotony, each one indistinguishable from the last. I move through tasks with mechanical precision, my mind quiet and unburdened by thoughts of change or escape. This is how it is now. No, this is all that remains. The sun rises again, casting a dull glow over the altered landscape. I begin my routine with the same mechanical precision as always. First, I check the water supply, ensuring there's enough to last another day. The container is half full, just like yesterday and the day before that. Next, I move to gather food from the storage unit. There are 3 energy bars left today, down from 4 yesterday. No change in pattern here either. I place them on the designated shelf as usual. After securing the food, I proceed to the exercise area. The treadmill is still there, waiting. I step onto it and start walking at a steady pace. My muscles remember the rhythm, moving without conscious thought. Time passes quietly, each stride blending into the next until my body tells me enough for today. Feeling the usual post-exercise lethargy, I move to the hygiene station. The familiar routine of cleaning myself is soothing in its predictability. Water flows over my skin, washing away any traces of sweat or grime. As always, it leaves me feeling refreshed yet unchanged. With that done, I head back to my sleeping quarters. The bed awaits, a comfortable space for rest and sleep. Lying down, I close my eyes and let the day's monotony fade into oblivion until morning comes again. The day begins with the same mechanical precision I come to expect. Rising from my makeshift bed, I check for any signs of wear or damage before setting about my routine tasks. The room is a familiar expanse of cold metal and stark lighting, its contours etched into my memory like an old friend. Breakfast consists of the usual ration meal, dried protein bars and water from a recycled supply tank. It's bland but sustains me, as it always does. There is no need to question why or how. These meals are simply part of the landscape I inhabit. After breakfast, I move on to my daily maintenance tasks. Cleaning the air filters, checking the life support systems, and performing routine diagnostics are all performed with practiced ease. Each system hums quietly in response, a silent agreement that everything is as it should be. The afternoon brings no surprises. I spend time reviewing data logs from previous days, noting any anomalies or deviations. There is nothing significant to report, just the steady progression of unremarkable statistics. The repetition offers a strange comfort, like tracing an old scar on my skin, a reminder that life continues in its predictable cycle. As evening approaches, I prepare for bed by ensuring all systems are secure and powered down properly. Eton's a ritual that feels both unnecessary and reassuring. Lying down, the cold metal presses against my back, familiar yet unyielding. Closing my eyes, I drift into sleep without resistance, knowing tomorrow will be much like today. In this space, only what is in reach matters. The rest fades into the background, irrelevant to the immediate tasks at hand. Each day is a repetition of yesterday's routine, and that predictability becomes its own kind of solace. The routine flows without hindrance. Each day merges into the next with seamless precision. The tasks are familiar, cleaning the space, checking systems, monitoring vitals. There's no need for thought or emotion in these actions. They simply happen as programmed. Hunger pangs come and go like clockwork, alleviated by the predictable cycle of meals. The environment remains unchanged, a sterile expanse with minimal distractions. Walls are unmarked, floors undisturbed. The air hums with a constant presence that ensures continuity, but offers no solace beyond its reliability. There's a quiet acceptance in this predictability, a comfort derived from knowing what comes next. Days blurred together without incident. Each task is performed out of habit rather than desire, yet there's a strange peace in the repetition. The monotony provides a steady rhythm that anchors existence. There are no surprises to break the pattern, no disruptions to challenge the routine. In this unchanging landscape, familiarity becomes the only constant. The absence of excitement is balanced by the stability it brings. Each day's completion signals another step forward, though progress feels intangible and irrelevant. Comfort lies in the certainty that tomorrow will mirror today. The environment offers little warmth but ensures continuity. There is no need for reflection or questioning. Each moment is lived out with mechanical efficiency. The routine provides a framework within which to exist, without the burden of expectation or consequence. Days pass with measured regularity, and though there's an underlying sense of stagnation, it brings a peculiar sort of calm. Comfort is found not in meaning, but in procedure. I wake up and start my day as usual. The routine is set in stone, each action a familiar step on an endless path. I prepare the same meal I've made countless times before. The ingredients laid out methodically, their placement memorized to perfection. As I chop vegetables with practiced precision, my mind wanders but does not stray far from the task at hand. The kitchen is sterile and quiet, the only sound the rhythmic chopping of the knife against the cutting board. After finishing the meal, I sit down to eat, each bite a continuation of what has become my daily ritual. There is no hunger now. Etos more about habit than sustenance. The taste of food is bland, yet familiar. Eton's comforting in its predictability, and there are a quiet peace that comes with it. Cleaning up after the meal, I move through each task without thought or hesitation. The dishes are washed and put away in their designated places, everything returning to order, as it always does. There is no sense of accomplishment or dissatisfaction, just the knowledge that the day is moving forward by default. I settle into a chair with my usual book, turning pages mechanically, absorbing words that mean little beyond passing time. The text blurs together after a while, but I continue reading out of habit rather than engagement. My thoughts drift aimlessly, yet They never stray too far from this moment, anchored by the routine and repetition. As evening falls, I perform my nighttime rituals with the same meticulous care as before. Brushing teeth, changing clothes, and preparing for sleep are all part of a seamless transition that has long lost its novelty. The bed is comfortable in its familiarity, and soon enough, I find myself drifting off into another night's rest. And so, the day ends not with any grand conclusion, but simply because it must. There is no sense of finality or closure, just an acknowledgement that each moment flows into the next without pause or reflection. The routine continues, unbroken and undisturbed by anything new or different.